The SSC handed over the answer keys for all subjects to NISA Communications Private Limited for evaluation of the OMR responses. This batch of special petitions under Article 136 of the Constitution arises from a final judgment and order dated 22 April 2024 of a division bench of the High Court at Calcutta. In 2016, West Bengal conducted selections for the recruitment to 4 categories of posts. Bracket 1, assistant teachers for classes 9 and 10. Bracket 2, assistant teachers for classes 11 and 12. Bracket 3, non-teaching staff of the Group C category. And bracket D, non-teaching staff of the Group D category. A notification for the state level selection test was issued on 16 February 2016. An OMR-based written examination was held on 27 November 2016. Candidates for class 9 and 10 was published on 12 March 2018. The merit list of empaneled candidates was published on 28 August 2018. The candidates joined as assistant teachers in or about January and February 2019. A batch of petitions was instituted before the High Court, challenging the selection process of 2016. The selection process for assistant teachers was governed by the West Bengal School Service Commission. Bracket selection for appointment to the post of teachers for classes 9 and 10 in secondary and higher secondary schools rules 2006. 16. Likewise, there are rules governing the selection to assistant teachers for classes 11 and 12, also of 2016. The selection for the Group C and Group D non-teaching posts is governed by the West Bengal School Service Commission. Bracket selection of persons for the appointment to non-teaching staff. Bracket rules 2009. Page E and F ko mil jayega. The writ petitions before the High Court were instituted in 2021. Full stop. From time to time, orders were passed by the High Court annulling the appointments on the ground that the process, on the ground that the appointments were made illegally. Full stop. The appointments were assailed initially before the division bench of the High Court, and ultimately dispute traveled to this court. By its judgment dated 9 November 2013.
23.
Sorry, 9 December, yeah, sorry, I said 13. 9 December 2023. 9 November 2023. This court, while dealing with a batch of petitions, directed in Achintya Kumar Mandal and others versus Lakshmi Tunga and others. Footnote decay, SLP civil number 4078-4079 of 2023. That all the issues relating to the appointments of 2016 should be examined by a division bench of the High Court And accordingly, an order of remand was issued. Accordingly, an order of remand was passed. The order of remand has resulted in the impugned judgment of the High Court. Good stop. The High Court has held, inter alia, that bracket 1, all appointments made in the selection processes involved were violative of Articles 14 and 16 of the Constitution, and therefore null and void. We have the exact figure.
25,735. 25,735. All.
All right. Approximately 25,000 appointments would stand to be abrogated, 25,000 appointments would stand to be set aside. Good stop. During the course of the hearing of the cases before the High Court, there was a direction to the Central Bureau of Investigation to conduct an investigation in regard to the alleged illegalities, in regard to the alleged acts of criminal wrongdoing arising from the selection process. When the matter traveled to this court, the order dated 9th November 2023 directed the CBI to complete its investigation within 2 months and to submit a report to the High Court. In the meantime, this court directed that the appointments which were granted during the pendency, that the appointments which had been made shall stand protected for a period of 6 months to enable the division bench to adjudicate upon the matter. In the earlier order dated 9th November 2023, this court was of the view that the direction of the High Court for the termination of the services of candidates at the interim stage, even before the final disposal of the petitions, ought to have been avoided for this court in the earlier proceedings. A fundamental issue which arose for consideration was in regard to the admissibility of the OMR sheet images which had been recovered by the CBI. The court noted that the investigation by the CBI was yet to be completed. The admissibility of the OMR sheet images being in question, this court observed that the question of the exercise of power in relation to the discovery of electronically stored OMR sheets implicated serious allegations in regard to the manipulation of records, having regard to the number of persons who are likely to be affected by the outcome of the proceedings, it was considered appropriate to remand the proceedings back to the High Court for a final decision on the writ petitions. Full stop. Before dwelling further on the ultimate directions which have been issued by the High Court, it would be necessary to note at this stage to make a brief reference to the report dated 5 February 2024, which was the last report, which was the final report which was filed before the High Court. The report of the CBI notes that the West Bengal School Service Commission, into brackets WB-SSC, the other side SSC, had awarded a work order to a company by the name of NISA, NYSA Communication Private Limited, for scanning and evaluation of the OMR sheets pertaining to the selection test for each of the 4 categories. The scanning of OMR sheets was undertaken by the aforesaid company at the office of the SSC. It further emerged during the investigation that the company which was awarded the contract by the SSC had further assigned the work of scanning the original OMRs to an entity by the name of Data Cantech, SCANTECH Solutions Noida, which was present at the premises of the SSC for completing the scanning work. According to the CBI, after completing the scanning, the processed data in the form of scanned images of the OMR were handed over by Data Scantech Solutions to NISA Communications Private Limited in the digital form, leaving the original hard copies of the OMR sheets in the office of the SSC. Full stop. According to the CBI report, the SSC handed over the answer keys for all subjects to NISA Communications Private Limited for evaluation of the OMR responses. CBI seized the server database of the SSC during the course of the investigation. Full stop. On 15/16 September 2022, 3 hard disks were recovered from the residence of a person by the name of Pankaj Bansal, a former employee of NISA Communications Private Limited at Ghaziabad. Full stop. Certificates dated 16 September 2022 under Section 65B of the Evidence Act were obtained from Pankaj Bansal. It says 16th actually. The report says 16th. 19th, all right, 19th. During the course of the investigation, data files containing scanned OMRs, among other things, were seized from Data Scantech Solutions. The report of the CBI, a comparison of the actual selection, which extends to as many as to approximately 25,000 appointments. The court cannot also be unmindful of the impact of the setting aside of a large complement of assistant teachers who have been recruited for both class 9 and 10 and class 11-class 12 students, which would be the consequence if the impugned judgment were to be upheld as it stands. Let's stop. Assuming that such a segregation is possible, this court would have to determine the modalities which would be followed for that purpose. Let's stop. At this stage, the court must be guided by the fact that by its order dated 9 November 2023, this court had protected the appointments which had been granted subject to the direction to the High Court to expeditiously dispose of the writ petition. Full stop. Bearing in mind the High Court, bearing in mind the present stage of the matter, we are of the view that an expeditious and early disposal of these proceedings would be in the interest of justice, and we accordingly direct that the proceedings be listed for hearing and final disposal on 16 July 2024. We'll stop. In the meantime, we are inclined to continue the ad interim protection which was granted by this court in its order dated 9 November 2023, subject to the express stipulation that persons following in the that any person who is found to have been appointed illegally and is continued as a consequence of the present order shall undertake to refund the entire amount of the salary which may be paid between the date of this order and the final judgment of this court. Full stop. This would cover illustratively the 4 categories of individuals noted earlier, namely, bracket 1. We need not.
Your Lordship have not said anything about the state sub.
Now we just sample. On the earlier date, the High Court has, by its impugned order, directed the CBI to investigate the creation of supernumerary posts at all rungs of the state government. Full stop. The above direction of the High Court was stayed by this court.
She didn't stay that, only said no precipitated action taken.
This court, by its previous order, had directed that no precipitate action would be taken in
Clause 8 may be stayed, my lord.
in pursuance of the direction contained
Right, the investigation.
in clause 8 of the operative directions of the High Court, which is reproduced below. Just give the PDF page, please, of that.
We'll give it to the court master. 281, my lord, possibly.
Para 363.
Para 363.
Clause.
That no appointment whatsoever
Yes.
has been made in pursuance of the order of the state government dated
19th May
19
22.
May 2022,
22.
which in any event forms the subject matter of a pending writ petition before the High Court, where the creation of the supernumerary posts has been stayed. Full stop.
Except one, Lord, that was,
Cancer patient.
That is the exception.
which even this
However-
division bench has upheld.
However, it appears that there is one exception has been made in the case of an individual
That is not
on
a
medical grounds.
post.
Soma Das,
That is not a supernumerary post, right? All right.
it's the
That's-
supernumerary
that's
post,
all right.
Soma Das.
That's all right. Nobody is setting aside her appointment, right? Don't say that. The earlier order of this court, in regard to the above direction of the High Court, shall continue to remain in
I'm grateful,
operation
I'm grateful.
pending the